Hey guys, Ramsey here. Welcome to another video. Today we've got an early impression video. It's been a while since I've done one of these, and mostly because I don't like doing them when I have to go into the office. It's really hard for me to focus on a fragrance while I'm around a bunch of people. I've said this before, but it's really hard to be in the office and sit there sniffing your hand over and over again like a weirdo, making notes. So in the office, I don't do these early impression videos, although, you know, when I get a chance to work from home, I do. I enjoy doing these, and I have so many fragrances like this that I want to wear and talk about. And my strategy is that I'll usually wear it a day or two to bed, you know, beforehand, and then I'll give it a full wear. And that usually allows me, you know, my brain some time to process it. So when I first get a chance to sniff it on the day I do a full wear, you know, it's not the very first time my brain has smelled it, because there's many times where I've smelled something, and if I actually smell it the next day, it's like all of a sudden your brain starts to kind of get used to the scent and break it down a little bit. The first time can feel like shock therapy, you know what I mean? And so that's why I like doing it that way. And we're going to talk about a scent from the house of Centauri Perfumes, which is Peter Carter's house. He was kind enough to send me the whole sample set. And I recently reviewed his newest fragrance called Mirabai. So you can go check that out. I have a playlist set up for him. I'll add this to the playlist once we're done. But before we get into this one, it's going to be, and I'll just tell you guys in case you probably see the title, but it's Anthea. And Anthea is the one we're going to talk about today. And I'm really enjoying this one. But before we get into how it smells, what it's like, I do want to do a quick unboxing, because it's been a while since we've done one of these, and this is actually sent to me by a friend. So these are some samples. Will sent me the samples. Thank you, my friend. It was very kind of you, Will. He sent me a bunch of stuff, actually many stuff I haven't even had a chance to get to yet, although, again, they're on my list, and that's the reason why I really want to start doing more and more of these sample videos, because I enjoy exploring and understanding the houses and fragrances that I haven't had a chance to sniff yet. And so Will was very kind to send these to me. So let's see what we have. We've got 4 fragrances today. So the first one is going to be Prinz Mariga. I don't know anything about Mariga. Actually, the House of Prin I'm pretty ignorant about for the most part. I do have some samples that I plan on talking about. But other than that, I'm, you know, a novice with the House of Prin. But apparently it's like an animalic, earthy scent. Mariga, it came out, I don't know when it came out, a couple years ago, I guess. And his stuff is usually pretty animalic, though. So I'll be interested to see what's what with Mariga. And then we've got Dixit and Zach, and it is Galia Hind. I like the name. I like Galia Hind. And actually, the reason I like this name is that I have a couple relatives that have both of those names, Galia and Hind. They're Arabic names. Let's see what Galia Hind is all about. Galia Hind. Nope, it didn't like it. Let me try it again. G-H-A-L-I-Y-A. Ah, here we go. Galia Hind. Okay, 2021. Animalic sweet fragrance. Castoreum, oud, civet. Sounds like my kind of fragrance. Hyraceum, labdanum, rose, cardamom, saffron, sandalwood. Sounds amazing. I will give this a shot. Look at that. He gave me a lot of it, too. He might have even given me enough I can wear it as my scent of the day. Usually if I have just a little bit like this, I'll wear it before bed and kind of just talk about it once. I won't make it my scent of the day because, you know, I do like to reapply throughout the day. And then he sent me, ooh, this one might have leaked a little bit. Let me make sure it's tight. Slumber House Kist. I guess this is the old version. I actually have never smelled a Slumber House fragrance. He gave me some, and I've been waiting to kind of talk about it. And so let's see. Slumber House. Kiste, Kiste. Yeah, so they did, okay, so there was a 2015 version, and then they did a 2022 version. It's honey, tobacco, peach, henna. Henna shows up again. Elderberry, Scotch heather, patchouli, tonka bean. Interesting. A fruity sweet tobacco honey with elderberry. I like it. And then oh, this is the one. He scored this bottle. He was telling me what he got this bottle for, and I was like, you have to be kidding me. So this is the great Francois Coty's Chiffre, the original, the big boy. Oh, I love Chiffres, man. I really need to find a bottle of this. I actually found a bottle, but the guy wanted $600 for it, and I was like, no, absolutely not. Not doing that. But bergamot, sage, civet, orris, jasmine, rose, oak moss, and labdanum. Supposedly the quintessential Chiffre. I think it was originally called maybe La Chiffre. I can't remember. But yes, very excited to sniff that. That is a all-time great fragrance right here. So anyways, thank you, Will. Thank you. And then I have there's actually a round two, because I bought this off a friend who wants to remain anonymous. So thank you. He gave me a very fair price on these two perfumes. And so I figured, what the heck? You know, I haven't done much buying lately. I've been very selective with what I've been buying. As you can see, I have so much to wear. I probably won't be able to get through it in a lifetime. And so, you know, I've just been kind of picking my spots. You know, if I get a good deal, a really good deal normally, I'll buy. Otherwise, I'll just kind of wait. So let me pull these out real quick. Go to your home. Okay. So yes, I got a great deal on these, so I figured, what the heck. They're fragrances that I know I like because I've sampled them both. I haven't talked about them much on the channel, but I will. I'll do full reviews. I plan on doing full reviews on all of my fragrances that I have full bottles of at some point or another, but it's just a matter of when. So the first one is a John Varvatos discontinued fragrance, and it's called Dark Rebel. Okay, so Dark Rebel. Here's the bottle. Here's the full bottle. I have a little decant, but I never had a full bottle, so this is cool. Yes, this is cool. So here's the bottle. Discontinued Jean Varvatos from 2015. And Dark Rebel. I do really like this fragrance. I wonder if I can see how much juice. Man, this bottle is dark. I won't be able to see how much juice is in here. It seems pretty full, though. I do have a decant that I've worked off of and smelled. Here's the decant. So I guess this is cool. I can kind of wear the bottle. I can wear the bottle, and then I can bring this with me if I want to refresh. So, but yes, Dark Rebel is a leathery, spicy, boozy fragrance is how I would describe it. It's created by Rodrigo Flores Roux and Givaudan. And there's the juice color for those of you interested in such things. Lots of rum and sugar and leather. There's some castoreum, tobacco, vanilla, akigala wood. It's a good designer. You know, it's the kind of designer that I can appreciate. And since it's discontinued, and I got this at a good price, I figured, what the hey. So we'll add a full bottle of Dark Rebel to the list. Let's see. Will you fit here without spilling everything? Barely. You will barely fit. Okay. Go to your home. Okay, and then the second one, the second full bottle, is this little bad boy, Rien Intense Incense. So I do have Rien, and I really like it. Oh, I moved my perfume. So I actually did some changing around. So I go to grab stuff that's here. It's not there. I moved some things around so I could more easily reach my splashes, because I wasn't wearing them because the splash bottle was over here, but the actual decant that I made and put aside was over there. And, you know, I had them all stacked together. And so digging and trying to find the, you know, decant that matched the bottle was a nightmare. So I actually put the bottles with the decants down here. So I can just grab the decant next to the bottle and wear it because I wasn't wearing my splashes. So yes, here you go. Rien Intense Incense. This is a 100 ml bottle. I have no clue how full this thing is. But, you know, I enjoyed it. Is it going to win Most Natural Fragrance of the Year award? No. This is a synthetic creation. But it does kind of remind me a little bit of the... it reminds me a little bit of the old school days of creating fragrance. You know, there's lots of leather. It's peppery. It's cuminy. Yes, it has this synthetic, aldehydic, strange synthetic vibe about it, but I like it. There's iris, and you guys know one of my favorite combinations in the world is leather and iris. Those two notes together for me are just killer. They're match made in heaven. And this has this with Cistus labdanum, you know, the frankincense, obviously. So, yes, I'm glad to have it. And I got it at a very good price. So, thank you. Thank you, my friend. You know who you are. Okay, so what am I going to do with this? I guess I'll just put you right here for now. Okay, so let's talk about the fragrance of the day and the early impression video and the one that Peter Carter was kind enough to send me, and that is Anthea. There's the bottle. It's the white bottle. It looks like this. And here's the little blurb. It says, man, I'm going to have to start wearing glasses soon. The goddess of flowers, flowing with the essence of life itself. From a bud, she blossoms, fragrant with sweetened nectar. She dances with the wind, free from all worries and fears, ever beautiful and complete within herself. Okay, so Anthea, I believe you can still purchase from Centauri Perfumes website. I actually don't know how his stuff works, whether it's very limited releases like Arisadori or whether you can just go still buy stuff and he makes batch after batch after batch, but I really enjoyed this one. In fact, I enjoyed it even more than Mirabai. Mirabai had this decaying honey is kind of the best way I can describe it. This decaying honey note that really bothered me. From the very get-go, I enjoyed Anthea. And I'll give you kind of my breakdown. And you can see I put a good dent in this 1.5 ml sample or whatever it is that he sent me. And so Anthea, yes, okay, so here's how it opens up. It opens up with one of the most beautiful, amazing, realistic citrus blasts I've ever smelled. Just top-notch. I mean, absolute top-notch citrus opening, which many brands try to do well. Nowadays, I feel like they just outsource it to the generic lemon, lime, bergamot, you know, whatever combo of, you know, citruses they hit in the opening, orangey citruses, grapefruit, you know, and sometimes they smell cheaply done, sometimes they smell designer-ish, sometimes they smell, you know, like maybe they made an effort, but the citric notes disappear. This fragrance opens up with a very unique combo of citrus note, and I really appreciate the unique factor of the opening. So it opens up with red mandarin orange, okay? Very specific. Red mandarin orange with yuzu aldehydes, okay? So I guess there's an aldehyde that gives off this yuzu-like vibe. And, you know, yuzu is a note that was used and made popular by a fragrance called L'Odyssée pour Homme from the 90s, 1994. L'Odyssée pour Homme famously used that yuzu note with orange. Here, it's red mandarin orange, not just orange, and yuzu. And don't think of L'Odyssée because it doesn't smell anything like that. I wore bottles of L'Odyssée. It was the fragrance that before I got into the fragrance industry when I was in college, my college girlfriend bought me bottle after bottle of Lodicea, and that's why I just cannot wear that today. You know, it's too strange for me to wear today. So, but I remember the smell, and this doesn't smell anything like that. But they did use that yuzu that will smell, you know, somewhat familiar, somewhat common if you've smelled it before, right? And ginger. And so ginger, red mandarin orange, yuzu with apricot is how this opens up. And the apricot joins the citruses very early on. So when you first spray, you're gonna get this, you're gonna get the citruses. And the word that came to mind whenever I sprayed this and wore it the very first time was sprightly. That's the note that I jotted down. This is a very sprightly, lots of movement, lots of energy. You know, the opening reminds me of like watching my 3-year-old daughter bounce off the walls after she had, you know, a piece of her birthday cake the other day. Just energy out the wazoo, galore energy. It has this youthful feeling about it too. And most citrusy, fresher fragrances are boring, okay? That's the reason that many connoisseurs like me don't like citrusy fragrances. Many connoisseurs don't like freshies. They consider them boring. This is not a freshie because a lot more goes on. We'll talk about how it kind of evolves. But the opening is almost like, to me, the perfect photorealistic freshie opening. If you could somehow take this fresh opening and add it to a summer freshie fragrance, you would have an absolute winner. It is very posh, and it's very easy to like, okay? Extremely likable. And the so that blast happens with the citruses, energetic, sprightly, energetic, bubbly opening, right? With the apricot. And think about the way an apricot, you know, feels when you bite into it and your, you know, teeth almost like hit the pit. Like you really bite into it and you pull a piece of apricot meat off of the, you know, apricot itself. Think about the texture, the feel of the apricot. That's mixed with that sprightly yuzu aldehydic mandarin opening, okay? And by the way, I've been wearing this all day. It's 4:30 in the afternoon, so this is like a 10-hour dry down or something. And I just reapplied, okay? And so full of life, full of energy, full of excitement in the opening is the way I would describe it. And then that apricot comes in. And at first, I thought maybe the apricot reminded me a little bit of the way that dried fruit, honey-like, there's this honey-like apricot smell in Mirabai. And I think the apricot will remind you a little bit of that dried fruit, you know, apricot, peach-like vibe that you get from Mirabai with that decaying honey. But here, I like it much more. I like the way that he did the apricot, and I like the way that he did the opening much more. The opening of Mirabai for the first hour or two is what really kind of put me off a little bit. The dry down, once you got to the beautiful sandalwood from the 1960s or whenever it was, vintage sandalwood in Mirabai was stunning. This also has sandalwood, but you don't have to wait all this time to get there. I'm enjoying the fragrance from the beginning. And so there's this fizziness, right? When you first smell, you get this beautiful fizziness. If you've ever drank, there's a carbonated drink that smells of fruit and fizz that's sold here in the United States called Izzy, I-Z-Z-E. And the front will have like this cut, you know, citrus fruit on the front. It looks like cut citrus fruit, and the cans are like red or green or yellow, whatever they are. If you ever drank that, and, you know, it's like raspberry flavor, blackberry flavor, or whatever it is, I used to drink those, and they're like sparkling juices, okay? And whenever you crack them open, you get that, you know, that carbonated fizz, right? And I have no clue how they made it last so long. I swear to God, hour 3, hour 4, I swear it still felt like I was getting that carbonated fizziness even as the balsams and resins and vanilla and stuff came to the forefront from down below, from the base of the fragrance. That's what was so amazing about this perfume. I have no clue how Peter Carter just extended that opening so much. I know there are tricks. I've talked about some of the tricks Roja Dove uses, some of the different ingredients he uses to try to like extend a citrus opening, right? I don't see any of those notes listed in here. And so I am really in awe of how he extended that citrus opening so much. That beautiful apricot, raspberry, citrus, fizzy, bubbly opening. And I know I'm spending a lot of time on it, but it deserves it. It is really a feat. And if you haven't smelled a lot of fragrances, you may smell this. And you may smell this and you may say that it's nice or whatever. You might think it's pleasant and just move on. But if you've smelled a lot of citrus fragrances, or if you've smelled a lot of fragrances that are trying to do this fresh, fruity, floral thing, and you have spent time in the hobby, and you know your taste, and you've spent time not just in the hobby, but you've spent time understanding what's in here and here and here, and you understand what you like in your heart, your mind, your nose, and this is really a category that you love. You're going to think this is a masterpiece. I mean, you're going to think this fragrance is a 10 out of 10. Now, for me, I can appreciate what I think is kind of the genius of this perfume, even though this category of fragrance is not my favorite, if that makes sense. It's that good that even though I don't like this type of fragrance as a general rule, this citrusy, florally, fruity feeling fragrance, even though it's not my favorite, it's done so well, and I've spent enough time sniffing a bunch of things that I can say, without a doubt that this is an amazing fragrance. And it's not something that should just be, sniffed once and glossed over. You should spend time with this fragrance, wear it as your scent of the day, wear it, get to know it. And it is very, very good. And there's this, what ends up happening is I think there's this bridge. There's this like piece of tape that sticks the different parts of this fragrance together. And one of the notes that really is one of the most sticky in my mind, not just in feel, because I'm noticing that Peter Carter has this sticky, like, his fragrances, and I've only smelled two. I've smelled Mirabai and I've smelled this. These are the only two I've smelled. I still have all the rest to go through, so you're going to hear more about Centauri Perfumes. Because again, my goal is I want to talk about these. I want to create like this little fragrance library on my channel where you guys can go get my thoughts. Go get my, my free and clear thoughts on what I think about. Here's Mirabai right here. You can see Mirabai. I wore it as my scent of the day. But I want to create this like fragrance library of my thoughts on all these different fragrances. And so the ones that I have full bottles on, I can go do a review anytime on those. Most of them I know already like the back of my hand. Most of them I've been wearing for a long time. Some of them have serious dents in those bottles because, again, I wear my perfumes. They're not just for looks. They're not just collector items. They're not just to show off on on streams or anything like that, on videos. They're items I plan on wearing and using. And so when I get these samples, I want to wear it and put my thoughts out there, because I know I'll probably, unless I decide to buy a full bottle, it'll probably be my only chance to put my thoughts on there. Unless someone else sends me another sample of it, I probably won't talk about it again. And so, plus I have so many samples and I'm so behind, you know what I mean? But from the two that I've sampled from Centauri Perfumes, they both have this sticky feel about them. Almost like you're smelling like, imagine you take the texture of like honey or, something sticky like flypaper. It has that, his fragrances have that stickiness to them without being disgustingly sweet. And even though we'll get to the vanilla here later on, but even though there are sweet aspects to both of the fragrances I've smelled so far, they don't have that designer generic sweetness that bothers me. And so even though Mirabai was a no for me, I could appreciate it. This is a yes for me, and I still probably wouldn't buy a bottle, but I can appreciate it even more. But it really has that Peter Carter DNA to it. And I'm very curious to see if when I go smell some of his other creations, like Gaia, Shambo, Dendera, all those other ones that I think he sent me all of them. If they all have this feeling to them, if it's like a DNA across the line, because I think that would be really impressive for a brand new perfumer like him, because he's not professionally trained. He's just someone who loved perfume. And the note that I think probably is going to get overlooked in this fragrance is the Pink Lotus Absolute, okay? And Pink Lotus Absolute is a note that I have smelled before in one of my favorite animalic fragrances of all time, actually. You guys have probably heard me talk about it if you follow my channel regularly. And that's Fiona from the house of Suga. TSVGA is how it's written, but it's pronounced Suga. There's a Pink Lotus Absolute in there, along with a couple other flowers like ylang, champaka, rose, along with all these animalics. And I love Fiona. I actually bought 2 of the Discovery Atomizers, not just one. I should have bought a full bottle. But yes, Fiona is a total winner, and I've smelled this Pink Lotus Absolute before. Also, Pink Lotus was used by Bortnikov in a couple of his creations, I believe, as well. He likes using those kind of florals that are different. I even noticed Russian Atom started using some different florals. I saw him use Magnolia in the new collection, which I did a video on with him, a live stream. Go check that out. Go check out that video with Russian Atom. Amazing. So blessed to get to try all those and talk with him. And, that series of interviews is just probably one of the best things up on the channel, to be honest with you. But back to Peter Carter. And so Centauri Perfumes. And so I'm noticing this DNA across the line, right? And they used both James Barry for Suga Parfums and Peter Carter for Centauri Perfumes used that Pink Lotus note different. So where Peter Carter with Anthea mixed it with these fresher, fruitier, floral ingredients. In Fiona, it's mixed with these heavy animalics. And so it gives the Pink Lotus a totally different feel. And here, it's such a perfect, it just acts as this hypoxy, where it takes the top and it just staples it to the mid. And then so here's kind of how I described it. The way that I described it is that when you first smell this, you're going to think it's a summer fragrance. And the reason you're going to think it's a summer fragrance is because of the sprightly, citrusy opening that I talked about. It's not a summer fragrance, okay? And the reason it's not a summer fragrance, even though it has that sparkliness in the opening, is one of the most beautiful parts about this fragrance to me, maybe the most beautiful part. As much time as I spent on the opening, how it transitions to the next stage of its development is a stunner, because it does this almost like slow motion transition, very slow, like trying to watch the hour hand on a watch move, or trying to watch the hair on your face grow. It's that kind of slow transition. And what it's transitioning from is it's transitioning from that top, and it's like a snail's pace. And it takes this snail's pace and fades into this beautiful, creamy, orris-like vanilla. And there is orris butter in here, but it doesn't smell like the kind of orris that you would expect to smell from a orris heavy fragrance. If you took some of the orris heavy fragrances I've talked about in You know, I talked about things like Under My Skin from Francesca Bianchi recently. I talked about, there was a fragrance from Papillon that I did a fragrance review on recently, and it was called Hera, and that's a beautiful orris irisy, you know, take with ambrette. Doesn't smell like that at all, but it smells like the orris blends with the vanilla to give the vanilla almost like this orris take, almost like this orris twist. Okay, so it's still vanilla that you're smelling with a twist of orris, if that makes sense. And it's this very high quality, creamy vanilla, extremely creamy, you know, almost like whipped vanilla, to go with that heavy, sticky DNA that he uses. And it's really a beautiful fade because it just goes so slow, and all the while it's fading into this high quality vanilla, and there's both vanillin and bourbon vanilla absolute listed. There's also some balsams, but all the while it feels like you can still in the background smell that sprightly yuzu, you know, aldehydic yuzu popping off the top of the fragrance. I have no clue how he did that. That is a trick that to have the top linger in the background while it's like slow motion fading into this vanilla is stunning. I mean, it's really a stunner. But it's a stunner in a way that may not appeal to many frag heads, because many frag heads now are going for like the heavy ouds, or, you know, the ambers, or, you know, the heavier stuff, or, you know, more Shifras with 4 transitions, and I love that stuff, don't get me wrong. But this may appeal to somebody newer in perfume, just talking out loud, because they may like the fact that it's extremely accessible, and yet, even to someone like me, it's interesting. You know what I mean? Like, I'm loving wearing this today. It's really, really good. And you know what it feels like? That high-quality, creamy vanilla. I was thinking today that it reminds me of like an indie version of what you would expect from someone who took over like the House of Guerlain in the year 3000. You know what I mean? Like this futuristic Guerlain. Like, how do we create a modern fragrance that highlights Guerlain's love of vanilla, but also makes it this modern indie niche thing? And they come up with this. Oh, it's really, really nice. Very pleasant. And, you know, as the hours tick by, you just get like you're watching this slow motion, like someone diving off of a diving board, and just slowly you're just going frame by frame, watching them fall into this dive, into this, instead of diving into a Olympic-sized swimming pool, they're diving into a vat of vanilla. And this beautiful orris-like vanilla, whipped vanilla. And the vanilla used there is a little bit of that sweet vanillin in the back, but it's not the majority. The majority of what I smell is the high-quality bourbon vanilla absolute, which can sometimes come across as smelling somewhat woody, and can come across as smelling somewhat like, almost like you're taking like a oak barrel that you use to age like liqueur in, you know what I mean? And it has that, it almost has a liqueur vibe to it. I was saying sticky, but now that I'm thinking about it, it could be this liqueur-like vibe, and I have no clue where it's coming from because there's no liqueur note listed. There is some Peru balsam, there's some benzoin, which will give you a little bit of that sticky resinous base. There is vetiver, which I don't get. I don't get any vetiver. Well, maybe just a hint in the late dry down. You know, this is a, whatever I said, 10-hour, 9.5-hour, 10-hour dry down. Definitely don't get the vetiver until the very end, if at all, but you really have to hunt for it. But it does have that boozy oak barrel feel to the bourbon vanilla. There's a little bit of rose, but I don't get very much of it. And what I did find interesting, though, is Base Notes actually has this listed as a women's fragrance. All of the line in Base Notes, the entire Centauri Perfumes line is unisex, except for Anthea. They have Anthea listed as a woman's fragrance, and I thought, no way, that must be a mistake. Has to be a mistake. Because while it's true this is the goddess of flowers, the goddess of flowers, this is not a fragrance for women. This is completely unisex. I mean, obviously it would smell beautiful on a woman, but it would also smell beautiful on a man. I mean, I've enjoyed wearing this all day today. And so, do not, if you see that this is marketed towards women, if it's true that he actually decided to market this towards women for whatever reason, I would say take that with a big grain of salt. If you're a guy, this could be one of the floral, citrusy, vanilla-y fragrances to try, because it just smells like a completely unisex, anyone can wear this and it would just smell amazing on them. I think it would be one of those fragrances that would smell a little more masculine on a man and a little more feminine on a woman, And there is this woodiness from this Indian sandalwood that you start to get in the dry down, along with maybe a ghost sniff of vetiver. The vetiver is, maybe if you try, it's one of those powers of observation, like, one of those, you plant a thought in your head and then you think about it. Is there vetiver? I would have said no, but maybe in the late dry down just a little bit. And then this white ambergris, and I know he uses real ambergris here, and it smells that way. And now that I'm saying white ambergris, I'm wondering if maybe that's where that sprite, maybe that's how he got that sprightly sparkle to just continue. Ambergris is the only thing I can think of that would allow a fragrance molecule like that to just go on and on and on. So, I don't rate fragrances, but hell, I mean, if I did, this would be a hell of a fragrance to rate. I really enjoy it. Will I buy a bottle? No, probably not. Although I can say with complete certainty that if I didn't have a shitload of bottles to wear already, I would. Because it's very good. I could see this coming off as a complete stunner in the warmer weather. It's going to be 88 degrees here in Texas in the middle of October. It's October 14th. It's going to be 88 degrees. So wearing this today just felt very natural. Although I'm itching to wear my heavier fragrances, I have so many that I want to talk about. I'm going to try to do more of these individual reviews or early impressions because you probably won't see this on my channel again. However, if you have experience with Anthea, I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts. If you have experience with the House of Centauri Perfumes, I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you have experience with Peter Carter's work, I'd love to hear what you think about his work. I do appreciate everyone who has subscribed, liked, commented, and lastly, I should say, we did pass 2,000 subscribers. It happened very fast after the first 1,000, and thank you to everybody who's joined and supported me. I've had to put up with very little BS. I expected much more from the trolls and people hating and all that stuff. But, the stuff that I've gotten has been very petty. It almost makes me feel sorry for the people who are doing it. Most of you guys have been just professional. I have the best subscribers out there, I think it's fair to say. And most knowledgeable for sure. I think all the big-time frag heads kind of found me and gravitated to me early on. And, now we're starting to get more and more of the normies. I had someone ask me like 3 times what the longevity of a perfume was the other day. And, what's the projection? I don't know. I don't care. I don't really care about stuff like that. I'm just trying to enjoy the fragrance. But yes, as the channel continues to grow, I'm excited to see where this goes. I will continue to put these out there. I like building this library of scents so people can go to the playlist, look at all the brands I've talked about, watch the videos, see what I think about it. I think the live streams are really kind of taking over the YouTube analytics, if you will. And I love doing live streams. I need to do one. It's been a while since I've really done a live stream. that, you know, we did one with Russian Adam, but that was more of like interview style. But I also really like doing these videos because it kind of places a flag in the dirt. Here's the fragrance, here's the brand. You know, if you want to watch a video on this, just click this video and it's up there. And so, yeah, the whole live stream video thing is, you know, people think videos are dead. I disagree. I don't think they are at all. And some of my favorite days in YouTube FragCom was 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, back before it kind of blew up like it did now. And you get all the drama and jealousy and all the stuff that goes with it that we just happen to see with all, it feels like with anything you do, that's just human nature coming through. It just kind of, you know, leaks through. And so, yes, anyways, just talking out loud at the end, but I appreciate everyone's support. I'd love to see your faces in the comments. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'll see you again tomorrow with another video. Cheers, guys. Bye now.